Thank you for coming to watch. So, I've got you guys an update on some pretty big things that are going to be happening weather wise across the country today. We have a few things to make mention of as we do have an ongoing severe weather event out here in the central U.S. You can see we've got some pretty big storms marching their way across the central plains right now. The worst of the storms are really firing across New Mexico. We've already had a confirmed large tornado move through the area. So we're really watching for a tornado threat with that. All right, but this is going to continue into tomorrow, and I think we're going to get a few rounds of severe weather as we get through the rest of this week. So, I mean, again, you can see that we have a huge area here of just a huge line of storms that's pretty much going to be pushing in this direction here. So, for you guys in South Dakota, watch out, central South Dakota, um, into parts of eastern Nebraska. But I mean, definitely just northeast of Albuquerque, we are getting some pretty intense storms. We have a storm system that's trying to get going here across the northwestern U.S. So you can see it's dumping a lot of rainfall, some showers and thunderstorms, popping off here across parts of the lower 48. All right, and uh, we do have. I think this is just a glitch in the radar, but it's showing something showing up here in the northeast. But pretty much, other than that, it's a nice day for the most part. So I just want to zoom in here and take a look at a few things, because I did notice that there were a few concerning storms that I saw here in parts of New Mexico. All right, so the tornadic supercell is actually right up here. This is moving just of Trinidad, and this is actually moving really fast. I know this is played really fast, but um, I mean this goes out pretty much just 20 minutes. All right, and so our this the system is pretty much getting out of New Mexico, Clovis, New Mexico. Watch out for storm system that's developing off to your southwest. Amarillo, you're getting or Alma Almagar Almagardo in New Mexico. Watch out for that. Also Roswell. This is trying to recycle. This was actually, you can see it right at the beginning of this loop. You can see it does appear to have some sort of a hook here. So this could have been a supercell right at this point right here, just south of La Cruces, and then this is trying to recycle here. We'll see what it does. Nothing much. So, again, I think that the most of the storms are off to the west, off to the east of you guys now. Very strong storms moving. They're moving just west of Carlsbad. All right, but yeah, there's definitely still ongoing tornado potential. All right, we move into Colorado. Here looking at the Colorado Springs area. All right. The worst of the storms are definitely moving out of your area, but there might be another backside round of storms. I don't think that there's going to be a huge severe potential with this one. Same thing for you guys in Denver. I know a pretty big storm moved through your area, but looks like that'll just bring some relatively heavy rainfall. Sterling, watch out for an explosive thunderstorm. I think that one might be warned actually at the moment, but I'm not sure. All right, we move into this is we move into Nebraska here. A lot of things to make mention of here. I think this might even be where our strongest storms at the moment are moving through. You guys are yet to get hit. Scottsbluff. Look at this huge storm moving through the area. Gorilla hail right here. You can see these pinks are in these purples. This signifies big hail, and you don't see that much out in these other areas, but once it hit Nebraska, you get a lot of hail. So around the Scottsbluff area, big storm moving through your area. All right, Rapid City, South Dakota, Spearfish. All right, a lot of big storms moving up. This is a very weird direction these storms are moving in. They're moving pretty much uh, just north. All right, so this is a not a common direction for storms to move in. All right, and so we'll wrap up this part of the update here. But again, taking a wide view of what we've got going on. I am noticing though that we are getting some pretty uh good looking supercells that they are developing down here. It's just southwest of Lubbock, Texas. All right. And these don't look very good to me. I think that there is one developing here. You can see just southwest of Midland in Texas. This one, it's definitely growing and it's getting big. All right, so you know we'll put this to around 10 p.m. tonight. So this is about 20 minutes out, and we have a developing system that's moving towards Midland, Texas. The rest of these storms are Big Hill and damaging wind gust producers, but I really do think that the tornado potential could be within one of these storms out here. So we'll move on to our next part of the update. We're looking at our alerts here. So nothing much going on across the United States today, other than what we've got in the central U.S. We got a severe thunderstorm watch that's including the parts of the panhandle of Texas into parts of western Texas, and then you can see also parts of eastern New Mexico. There's a big chunk of eastern New Mexico in the severe thunderstorm watch. Look at these big severe thunderstorm warnings, including many counties out here in eastern New Mexico. These are those storms that are still moving out of the area, continuing on into Kansas, Colorado. A few warnings out here, a few warned storms, and a few severe weather statements out for South Dakota and then parts of Nebraska. This is going to continue throughout today. I'm telling you guys, we're probably going to see the same picture as late as midnight tonight. All right. For the rest of the U.S., just a few. This is a wind advisory out here for northern Montana. Just a few gusty winds out there. We have winter weather advisories out for parts of northwestern Wyoming, parts of southwestern Montana, also including a county in northern Utah. All right, nothing much other than that. So we are good to go here. We'll look at now our NAM 3K model for the south central U.S. All right, I just want to show you guys and take a look at what we could be expecting, not only for the rest of tonight, but into tomorrow, for in terms of where our severe weather comes. All right, and so you can see that we'll put this to 9 p.m. today. This is what you got going on. You had storms. You can see you got storms moving out of New Mexico. A lot of snowfall on the backside of these storms out here in central Colorado. These are moving over the Rockies, so they are going to get that severe potential after they move through the Rockies because the warm air and the cold air they combine and then they like push against each other, which creates this almost sometimes a spin, all right, which could elevate the tornado threat, but definitely that severe weather threat will certainly be present with us after these storms move through the Rockies. All right, and then they turn explosive pretty much all the way up until around 2 a.m. in the morning, and these storms they start to die down. They align into this big damaging wind gust line. All right, let me get rid of that. But you can see right here, this is almost bowing out. This is starting to bow out. That's because you're getting some colder air coming down from the northwest, all right, and that's pushing up against the system, and it's pushing off to the northeast. So that's pretty much your setup right now. And by the way, we are going to get a break of the cooler temperatures out here in the northwest. We are going to see another anchored high pressure center that's going to be right over the northwestern U.S., which is going to place above average temperatures for the region. But we continue through the rest of the night. We're getting into tomorrow morning. Not much happening until you get to around 6 p.m. This is the dinner time area or dinner time frame. All right, and you've got explosive storms firing across parts of southern Kansas, parts of just near the panhandle of Oklahoma here. All right, and these storms just continue to fire across this region. Some big time damaging wind gust storms right at this hour here, at around 10 p.m. tomorrow night. So just 24 hours out from now, around the same time tomorrow, we could have some pretty big storms out in parts of southeastern Nebraska, parts of central Kansas. These look like they could be damaging wind gust producers. Maybe some hail in there. Nothing concerning me tornado wise yet. All right, but we'll still have to see what goes on tomorrow, and then nothing much after that. But keep an eye on these storms that haven't died down yet. We're getting into about 7 a.m. I guess this would be Wednesday. All right, we're getting into or a very early morning Wednesday, and we have still some lingering showers and thunderstorms. And because they've made it through the night, they have the rest of the day to strengthen, and they already have some energy. So this could really give them a boost of how strong they could get. And let's see what they do here. They form a line here. We get another secondary damaging wind gust threat. Then here comes your supercells starting to develop off to the southwest. This is where you could have another tornado potential. We're getting into Thursday, and we have a pretty much a straight line of supercell that will have a tornado potential, but pretty much damage and wind gusts and hail for the most part. So it's going to be a big few days and a long few days for you guys in the south central U.S. I think that there's going to be a ongoing round of severe weather that's going to continue throughout the rest of this week. All right, so always be on alert and be on the lookout for some strong to severe storms that will move through the region into Thursday. All right, so we go on to the north central U.S. looking at what's going to be happening on your side of things. All right, let me get rid of the circle here. Um, and so it's a little different. The setup here is a little different because we're farther north. All right, there's some colder air up here. But you can see right away. You can tell that the core of this storm system that's moving right through the area right now is definitely up here in the Dakotas. Look at all this. Look at this huge area of just storminess stretching all the way from southwestern North Dakota down towards extreme western Colorado. All right, and we get very explosive storms with this system. All right, we see where this takes us. We're getting into 2 a.m. Tomorrow morning, and the storm is fizzling out. This moves up into Canada. A very weird movement and track with this system. You don't usually see severe weather events move just straight up north. They usually move west to east, but this is just moving pretty much south to north. So very odd storm system here, but you still got another storm system behind it. This is actually part of the same one that we're dealing with right now. That I think that these two lines here of storms could conjoin into one big storm here, and then they eventually could organize, and we could have a full blown severe weather event and system that could be moving across the Midwest. That could be a setup that we're going to get, something that you're going to watch. All right, because there is cold air that's trying to move into the eastern U.S. that's pushing this storm aloft, and so we see what this does. And I mean, it doesn't have much steam left. We're getting into about Wednesday here. All right, we're getting into middle of the night Tuesday, or yeah, we're getting into Tuesday into Wednesday here. Still some strong storms, strong to severe storms stretching all the way from southern Minnesota down towards central Kansas. Damaging wind gust producers here, and then the core of that storm is still hanging on up here in northeastern Minnesota, but definitely not as intense looking as what it's going to look like at around a late Tuesday. And the storm does not eventually form, but then we all of a sudden start to see some more thunderstorm buildup here in a big. I mean, this is a huge line of storms going all the way down from extreme northern Michigan down towards southwestern Missouri. So we could have a few rounds of big severe weather events. I mean, we're obviously going to have very strong storms. When I mean big in size. Like, we are going to have multiple very long lines of storms that will move through the region here. But we move on to our current SPC outlook for today. I'll put this out this is just for the central region. All right, this cuts off a little bit of the south central U.S. But this is pretty much what we can see for the most part. All right, so starting off here, you can see that we've got two slight risks here. This is one that goes out for parts of southwestern South Dakota into northwestern Nebraska. This is just southeast of Rapid City, South Dakota, and just northwest of North Platte and central Nebraska. All right, and then for the surrounding areas in this huge line of storms, we just have that level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe weather. Then we bump into another slight risk out here for parts of southwestern, Colorado into the panhandle of Oklahoma, northern Texas down towards New Mexico, and then eventually the panhandle of Texas, where that cuts off. All right, but you have a huge line of storm systems. That's why you see this huge line of that marginal risk for severe weather out for this area. So you just gotta watch out for any type of severe storm. I don't care if it's tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, or hail. If you get any component of that, you could consider that a severe thunderstorm. What makes a severe thunderstorm severe warned is that it has um all three components. All right, and so you need 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. All right, these are reported things that you need. You need 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Okay, and um you definitely need a tornado potential, but there's definitely a lot more specific things that you need for a severe thunderstorm to be classified as a severe thunderstorm and eventually to get severe warning. But we can go back here and we'll look at now our tornado outlook. All right, I believe there is actually a 5% risk for tornadoes, or at least there used to be. I don't know if they've taken this off yet. Yes, they have taken this off. But there used to be a 5% risk for tornadoes inside this 2% risk. All right, so there's no longer a 5% risk, which means that tornado threat is going down. All right, this is going out for parts of western Texas into parts of eastern New Mexico. So there is still an existing tornado threat. It's just definitely not as high as it was earlier today. We look at the damage wind outlook. All right, same two areas of that slight risk for severe weather, but instead you have a 15 to 29% risk of seeing damaging wind gusts here for these two areas in yellow, and then for this area in brown, you have a 5 to 14% chance of seeing damaging wind gusts within a given location. All right, and then we look at that hail threat. Okay, and notice how there isn't any hail threat that's above 14% risk out here for that area farther north. It's just for that area farther south in that southern slight risk. All right, where you see this is just including parts of southeastern Colorado into western Texas, into eastern New Mexico, and then eventually extreme western Oklahoma. But it's really not too crazy with today's outlook. I did, think I wasn't surprised by this, but I did think that we would have a chance for a enhanced risk of severe weather. But it looks like that we didn't need it. But there definitely was a few strong storms and a few severe storms that moved through this area. But we look at tomorrow's outlook. All right, this is the second round of severe weather. We have a even bigger slight risk, and I think we could get an enhanced risk with tomorrow's outlook. And I would put it somewhere. Let me change this to let me put this to an orange color here so you guys can kind of get a sense that that's brown. All right, I think that we are going to see an enhanced risk somewhere in here. All right, I am expecting this to include Dodge City and Hastings. So Hastings, Nebraska, and Dodge City, Kansas. All right, I think that this is going to be the area we're going to see an enhanced risk if we get one. All right, we might not get one, but I think we have a good shot at seeing one, and if we do see one, I think that'll be somewhere in that area. But for now, we have a marginal risk going all the way up from parts of northwestern Minnesota down into the Dakotas, eastern North Dakota, eastern South Dakota. This is including Aberdeen, South Dakota, Aberdeen, uh, and Sioux Falls out here in uh, South Dakota, or Sioux Falls. Yeah, Sioux Falls in South Dakota. But you definitely have those two cities in this risk here, and then we also do have a lot of western Minnesota. I think I said that already. But this goes down into extreme eastern Nebraska, into northwestern Iowa, and then you can see this does coat and surround this slight risk. All right, you got central Nebraska into parts of western Kansas, into the panhandle of Oklahoma, and then eventually western Texas, all in this marginal risk. All right, and then you got also on the eastern side of things, you do have another area of that marginal risk. For the slight risk, this is including areas as far north as northern Nebraska down towards western and then eventually the panhandle of Texas. You've got Hastings, Nebraska. You've got Dodge City, Kansas in there. You got areas just west of Wichita, Kansas. All right, and then no other major cities other than those few. So that is the categorical outlook for tomorrow. All right, I'm not gonna take too much time to talk about the current specifics on our categories of severe weather, but we do have a 2% risk for tornadoes. I think we'll get an upgrade with a 5% risk by tomorrow here, but this is a pretty similar area as yesterday, as today, except just bigger. All right, the wind outlook, this could get upgraded to a 30% risk. I'm not sure. It really depends on that enhanced risk. But if we do get one, I think this could be upgraded to a 30% risk, somewhere inside this 15 to 29% risk. And then our severe hail outlook, this is our big hail. We have a 15 to 29% risk and a hatched risk, which means that there's a significant chance of seeing large hail within 25 miles of a point here inside this hatch risk, which is including North Platte and Hastings, Nebraska. All right, you got Dodge City, Kansas, right in the middle of that hatch risk. Then areas of northern Texas also included in that risk as well. So a big area that we're gonna have to watch tomorrow, and I think tomorrow is gonna be a pretty active day when it comes to severe weather. And then our day 3 outlook, we so far just have a small area of a marginal risk. So that's going to take care of our SPC outlook. And we're going to be just looking at the current GFS model for our potential upcoming storms. I'm going to put this to the 12Z just because I think the 12Z showed it showed us a pretty good idea of what could be happening in the future. All right, and so we see what could happen in our near and our far future here. So we get our storm system that moves out right here. All right, we're getting into October 5th. This is Thursday, and we have another developing system that could possibly be sweeping through. And look at that's that huge line of storms I was talking about. And here it is. It's starting to form. All right, we'll see what this does, and it actually does form a storm here, and we see how big this storm gets. And this storm grows. I think the GFS has been hinting that we could get a severe weather event for not only the Central Plains but potentially even the Ohio Valley and Northeast, because this long line of storms I was just talking about could actually redevelop and strengthen into a bigger and more organized system, and then it could really dump a lot of rain out here on the Northeast. So you guys really got to watch out for some more flooding potentially into the weekend. All right, but we just got to continue watching and seeing what could happen with this potential system. And maybe some backside snow for areas of northern Wisconsin, Michigan, maybe even upstate New York. But we really just got to figure out, what exactly is going to be happening as we get closer to the weekend. All right. And so this storm could stick around all the way up until about Tuesday. All right, we're getting to the 10th. All right, not much going on. Although we do get a system that starts dropping down from the north central, and this is not looking like it's going to be too major just based off of this. Again, this is very far out, so we can't really talk about the specifics on what these storms could bring. Just about what kind of signal we could get for a storm. But there's going to be a cold front potentially driving with this system off to the east, and this time frame could be around the 13th to the 15th. All right, and then this is where I think when we could get what I would call a blockbuster mid fall, or I should say early fall storm. All right, right off the bat, this is before things really get going. Around the 15th, we already have our traditional severe weather setup. All right, and I'll explain why in a moment. You've probably heard me a million times talk about this already, but I just want to show you guys. All right, we have that shape of a severe weather storm system here, and you've got some very warm air right out in front of it. All right, this is including the Midwest and the Northeast, and then behind it you have some snowfall here because you have cold air that is pushing into the backside of the system. That's driving it off to the east, and that's also helping keep that severe storm component, all right, to the system. And so we see that's how this takes shape, but this really starts to strengthen early. And man, we get a big storm here, and we see snowfall stretching as far south as parts of western Colorado. All right, so this is going to be a big storm system. We see how far this could go, and this could be a cross country uh, storm system that could move across not only the central U.S. but eventually the eastern U.S. So we've really got to watch this into the second week or second into the third week of October, around the 15th to the 16th and the 17th, and then we might even still have this thing hanging around by the 18th. So a lot of possible things that could go on throughout October, and I'm afraid October is going to be a pretty active month for severe weather and also maybe some flooding rainfall, especially across the eastern U.S. All right, so that's going to take care of our severe weather portion of the video. We look at now the tropics here. So I just want to talk briefly about Tropical Storm Philippe. All right, Philippe is currently making landfall on the Lesser Atilles right now. I talked about Philippe a few days ago. We're back with him, and he did turn out to actually make a landfall here. The center of Philippe is working its way into the northern Lesser Antilles Islands here. All right, and we've got still a lot of moisture here, a lot of convection, a lot of strong thunderstorm buildup that Felipe is popping off right now. All right, Felipe is going to start to struggle as he moves over land, but this will eventually this will re-strengthen as it moves out of the Lesser Antilles. All right, and it will move into this area up here in the South Atlantic, and then this is expected to become a hurricane as it moves into that region. So, again, we look at the satellite loop of Felipe, and we have a lot of moisture to deal with here. All right, so it's definitely not going to completely weaken because it's already at a fairly strong point. But it is certainly starting to make landfall, and it really doesn't have anywhere else to go. It's still moving in a generally west northwest direction, but this will start turning north as it makes landfall on the Lesser Antilles. So we look at our current projected 5-day cone. Okay, and so we are expecting the storm to continue to start moving north and then continue moving north up until Thursday. And then we get our cone of uncertainty. As of now, Bermuda is right on the side of this cone of uncertainty. I think this will slightly shift, potentially farther west or farther east. We really don't know. But we are expecting this to become a hurricane by 2 p.m. Saturday. All right, and then this will be, it won't be a threat to the East Coast, but this could be a threat to some of our friends out here in maybe parts of eastern Nova Scotia or Newfoundland. We gotta just watch out for what could happen as the storm moves into the North Atlantic. All right, but we do have tropical storm warnings for parts of the Lesser Antilles here, and so we are expecting the tropical storm force conditions to continue through the area into tonight and tomorrow. So we look at the GFS model. We'll quickly compare the GFS and the European model for the track of the system. All right, so we look at what the GFS is saying as of right now. So here we go. We're starting to get that intensification with the storm. We get a hurricane at this point, 988 millibar hurricane. And at this point, you have a slight trough. This is a very weak trough. This is sweeping across the eastern U.S. It might be just late for it to pick up Felipe. So if Felipe begins to pick up speed and starts moving faster, Felipe would continue its track and head like that, or it could maybe go like that. We really don't know. All right, but let's say Felipe slows down at this point. All right, and then this trough continues moving in its direction. Then we could get a scenario where we could have more of a threat to areas farther west. I'm not saying the eastern U.S. You guys are definitely good to go. You are not to be worried about the system at all, but that would put our friends out here in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland at a greater risk. So those are our two scenarios here. And we see what the GFS is currently saying about saying about this. And the GFS wants this trough to actually weaken almost completely, but it does the end of it kind of pushes Philippe a little bit farther out to sea, and therefore we don't get any impacts or landfall on Nova Scotia or Newfoundland. All right, so the GFS 18Z is showing just a good scenario. Nothing too bad. Maybe for our friends in Bermuda, um, we might get a strong storm that can move through. We really don't know. Maybe some relatively large impacts, but for the most part, that is it. All right, so we look at now the European model. The European model is different. That's one thing that you should notice here. But we look at what the European model has to say about Philippe. All right, Philippe, starting to move north at this point. All right, but notice how it's farther west than the GFS. The GFS wanted Philippe, pretty much right here in this area. But the European model wants Philippe back here. So the European model still has a trough located across the eastern U.S., but it's even farther back. All right, this is actually even at this point here. So I really don't see any chance for this trough to completely pick up Philippe unless Philippe almost completely stalls out and this trough moves faster. Otherwise, I think that'd be really too late for that trough to pick up Philippe. So, because the 18Z doesn't go as far out as we need it to, we'll go to the OZ so we can get the full 240 hours. And the OZ has Philippe starting out farther east, so we see a little bit of agreement with the European and the GFS. All right, but notice how the Philippe and um, the trough here, they meet up right up in this area here. And so this is really too close to Nova Scotia to the point where Philippe can go completely out to sea. And so we get a landfall somewhere in between Nova Scotia and Newfoundland sometime around the 9th. All right, this is not that far out. This is just about a week out here. All right, and so just about, I would say just about 4 days out, we will start talking about potential impacts to these areas if we do find out that there is an existing threat to land here from Felipe. But you could definitely tell that the GFS and the European model are not completely different, but they are very different when it comes to the future track of the system. So we'll continue watching the system in future updates, but I just want to throw that out for you guys just to make sure that you guys are aware of this situation. All right, but nothing really to be completely worried about. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. I'll see you guys next video. Stay safe out there with that severe weather threat. You really just gotta make sure that you're staying prepared. You're staying ahead of the weather here, and you're just making sure that you're aware of whatever situation you could be in as these storms move through the region. All right, we'll continue talking about our possible upcoming big storms that will move through the eastern U.S. and then set up across the western U.S. And then we'll continue talking about the tropics. So thank you all for coming to watch, and I will see you guys in the next video.